you struggle with anxiety or depression, have you ever wondered what's actually happening in my brain when I'm struggling with either one or both of these conditions? Well, watch this video to find out, because I'm going to answer that question: what's actually happening in the brain of somebody who has anxiety or depression, and more importantly, what you can do about it. Hey, I'm Dr. Sam McDonald, brain health expert, helping you rewire your brain so you can live a better life. If you love this content, make sure to like and subscribe so you get the notifications for each week's new video. So in answering that question, it's really important to understand both what is anxiety and depression. So starting with anxiety, anxiety is really the end extreme point of approach type behavior. So approach type behavior means that you're constantly perseverating either on certain thoughts. You're running the same thought in your head over and over and over again. You're constantly worrying or thinking about the same types of things. You know, what could happen if this happens? What happens if this happens? Or you're always out doing things. What's going to be the next thing that happens? What's the next thing? What's the next thing here? What's the next piece here? Oh, what happens if this happens? It's this endless loop in the brain of it always needs to be doing something. The brain can never calm down. The brain can never slow down. This is anxiety. On the other end of the spectrum, you have depression, which again can involve the same type of ruminating thought brain loops, but it is the end of the spectrum of the avoidance type of behavior. So this is very much withdrawal type of behavior. So we really have two different types of categories of behavior in our brain. We have approach and we have avoidance. Avoidance means withdraw. It means pulling in. So with depression, you're withdrawing from your life, you're withdrawing from the world, from engaging with friends, from engaging really in anything, because there is no motivation to go out and really do any of the activities, even the ones that used to bring you joy and happiness. Those aren't there because of all of this built up avoidance type behavior that is happening in the brain. So now to answer that question, what's happening in the brain, you need to understand really how the brain works. So we have two halves of our brain, and each half of our brain really functions very differently than the other side. So think in very simplistic terms, our left brain is really our go side of our brain. This would be the approach type of behavior that we have. And this is the more gas pedal side of our brain. So it's going to amp everything up. It's going to be that go, go, go. Hey, what about this? Hey, what about this piece next? And then it's going to be constantly looking at what's the next thing I need to go out and seek and find and do. So now imagine the left brain is like a runaway train. In anxiety, there's no brakes to slow it down. So what we typically see with folks that have anxiety type problems is this left brain is running very, very strong, and the right brain is running very weak. So the right brain is what's going to give us that perspective of what's going on around us in our environment, but it's also going to be the brake pedals to this runaway train. So when we don't have those brakes, we start to then go into these different loops. You're constantly worried about what's going to be happening next. You can't slow the brain down, which then this cascades into activating the whole fight or flight system. So we're constantly looking for the next danger. We're constantly looking for the next thing we can eat, or we're constantly looking for the next thing we can mate with. So that's really what our reptilian brain or our fight or flight system is constantly looking about is, hey, is there danger? Is there food? Or is there fornication? One of those three different pieces that it's going to be looking for. Now, the other end of the spectrum with depression, this is too much of the right side of the brain that's active and not enough of the left side of the brain that's active. So an interesting thing in our emotions, both anger and happiness and joy come from the left side of the brain. So when that side of the brain is hypo-functioning or not functioning well, you're not going to be able to experience joy and happiness, even in things that used to bring about joy and happiness, because that side of the brain is weak. So when that right side of the brain is running really, really fast, the brakes are going to be on all the time. So you're never going to have that momentum, that ability, that get up and go to go out and do things, which is going to lead to this right brain becoming more and more and more strong. And again, we're constantly withdrawing into ourselves, because that's what the right brain does. It's constantly scanning the environment, looking for, again, threats and danger, but more importantly, it's very analytical, and it's very, it's looking at how people are reacting and are being judged. Hey, what's this person think about me? Oh my gosh, that person's looking at me. Everyone's judging him. Everyone's looking at me. Everyone's constantly thinking about me, when probably the reality of the case is no one's thinking about you. Just most people are self-absorbed into themselves. But when that right brain starts to run really high, it's very critical, it's very judgmental, and that's where we get stuck in these judgmental critical type loops, because we can't break out of it. Because again, that right brain's just running way too fast. So the most important question in this is really what can be done? Well, you need to really find out first, are you more of a left brain dominant person or a right brain dominant person? That needs to be understood and figure out, hey, is there one side of my brain that's really not communicating and functioning up to its potential equal with the other side of the brain? Now, with both of these being more mental health type of conditions, one of the things that we often talk about is what's called embodiment. So we need to look at how the brain grows and develops. Our brain has to be intimately connected with our body. So when we're working with our clients that struggle with anxiety or depression, we always look for what are called primitive reflexes first. Primitive reflexes are like the foundation of the brain. There are training wheels that develop these higher brain centers. And if they are still present in somebody who has anxiety or depression, this can lead to a lack of proper communication coming from the body, which leads to distorted messages coming up into the brain, which can then result in this brain imbalance where one side of the brain is running too strong, the other side of the brain is running too weak. Now, in this whole piece too, we have to look at something that's called embodiment. So being mental health type problems, we're too much up in our head up here, and we're not really connected down into our body. So with a lot of our clients that struggle with these issues, we'll actually get them to start doing core stability type exercises because we want to create that greater brain-body connection, that embodiment connection piece, so they can get back into their body. They can get out of their head and get back into their body and be able to relax, calm down if they're anxious, or be able to get a little bit more stimulation if they're depressed. Lastly, then we got to look at, hey, is one side of the brain running stronger than the other? We got to balance them out. If that left brain is running too strong, causing all these anxiety and panic attack type spells, we got to get that right brain online to calm it down. And vice versa, if that right brain is running too strong and keeping you in this frozen, stuck and major inertia type state, we got to get that left brain going to get everything active and moving and experience more of these happy type emotions. So on that note, you should be healthy by choice, not by chance. And for that reason, I will see you on the next video.